Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today we're going to be going over the latest Doctor Who news. There's been a few things coming out, as well as a reveal of the cover for the brand new Doctor Who magazine. We've had a quote from Steven Moffat about returning, as well as a reunion, if you will, between Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman. You see what I did there? As well as a couple of other bits and bobs as well. But before we get into it, if you could do me a teeny little favour and click that subscribe button, it would be very much appreciated. We are trying to get to 21,000 subscribers by the end of this month, and we are like 15 subscribers away from 20,800, so any support is always going to be appreciated. Thank you so much for the support recently. But with that said, let's get into the video. So yeah, first of all, we've had this tweet from BBC Doctor Who. This week's Doctor Who magazine pairs well with a nice glass of carrot juice. Here's your first look at Bonnie Langford on the latest cover of Doctor Who magazine, on sale from 14th of September. You can see here, it says world exclusive highway to Mel, nice pun, Bonnie Langford on her return to Doctor Who, and then we also get a bit about celebrating the henchmen of Doctor Who, as well as a clip from the next Liberation of the Daleks part, where they're set to go to Spyrodon, and if you look closely, you'll see the 14th Doctor in glasses. The quote here as well, I also think is quite interesting. It says, "To turn something around in your own lifetime is something most of us don't get the chance to do." So I'm assuming this is referring to the fact that Mel's character in the original 80s run was never one of the most, I guess, layered companions. She was always one of the more, I guess, two-dimensional in her original run. Not Bonnie Langford's fault by any means. She was fantastic in that role, but more so just the character she was given was fairly limited at the time. So I'm assuming here that she's talking about being given a bit more dimension to her character, and that's something that she never thought would happen, which is really nice. And it's why I'm probably more excited for her return than, say, like a couple of others, because I feel like there's more potential in a Mel return than there are some others, because they were already done so well originally. Whereas taking a character that wasn't as kind of well-rounded originally and kind of refining them, I think is a lot more interesting of a premise. But yeah, as they say, it's going to be on sale 14th of September, so I will be doing a video on that when it comes out. Next up, we had this quote from Steven Moffat. This comes from the Glasgow Guardian, which has a full interview with him on mainly Doctor Who and Sherlock. But the main quote I wanted to pull from today is this one. Thank you to William Who for getting it up. Steven Moffat on the Doctor Who Series 14 return rumours. "It would be a bit too early for me to return. It feels, in my advanced years, that I only stopped 12 minutes ago." So this is basically him echoing a similar sentiment to what he said before of, oh, it's a bit too early to return. I'm not buying it, personally. I do think this is another, like, werewolf example. And in fact, there have been several people who seem to know what they're talking about, saying that, yeah, there's a very good chance that Steven Moffat is coming back. And to be honest, I fully believe Steven Moffat could do another episode, especially under Russell. The two are such close friends. Steven's always said, even after he left the show, he was constantly thinking of ideas, and he's not even been shy to come back to the universe. I think he did some stuff for the Doctor Who lockdown events, as well as he did the Target novelizations back in the day when Chibnall was taking over. So I think it's pretty likely that Steven Moffat will come back. I'm not fully convinced by his statement here that it feels too soon. I think he's going to come back. Personally, I really want him to come back. I really like Steven Moffat. I know that for some people, they really don't like him. Personally, I think his one-off episodes in the RTD era are some of the strongest episodes of the revival, and I think if we can get some of that magic again, I think we're going to be in some really good episodes. Doctor Who Redacted Season 2 got announced. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't completely finish Season 1, but this one is, I think, the same cast, but obviously, like, there's a newcomer called Freddie Carter, who I know some people know. I don't really know who that is. Obviously, the main disappointment for this for a lot of people is that they got rid of the original, I think, writer, Ella Watts, from this project, which does feel a little bit odd, and James Goss is doing it. Don't get me wrong, James Goss is great, but that still does feel like an odd move. They did also release a trailer for this on BBC Sounds, which you can go listen to, but they weirdly didn't advertise that on here, which I think is interesting. But yeah, it sounds quite interesting. I'd assume it's going to follow a similar format to the first series, with maybe 14 appearing at the end. So I probably will listen to this just to see if it does tie into the future of the Doctor Who universe anyway. I did enjoy the first one from what I listened to, but it did sort of tail off at the end a bit for me. This was really cool. Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman, who formerly played the 11th Doctor and Clara on Doctor Who, reunited today, 10 years on from their last episode together back in 2013. The pair met at the BGC charity event and were pictured sharing a hug. This is absolutely wonderful. As someone who is a self-proclaimed Series 7 defender, seeing these two together is actually really, really nice. And I always thought we didn't get enough of the 11th Doctor and Clara. I think you give them another season and you could really see a really cool Doctor-companion dynamic here. I think there wasn't enough time to really develop that because they only really had half a series together before, obviously, Capaldi came in. So I've always liked the idea of them doing another series with these two. Maybe one day they'll reunite on screen, who knows, but God, it was really quite a nostalgia hit for me seeing these two together today. It put me back in mind of myself in 2013, getting hyped up for the 50th, like there was no tomorrow. Yeah, it was a really cool thing to see. Lenny Rush talks about Doctor Who and schooling on set. So I saw this a few days ago, and I'm getting it from Cultbox. At just 14 years old, Lenny Rush has already won a BAFTA, Sharon Horgan, Michael Sheen in Best Interest, Christopher Eccleston in Dodger, and has recently filmed the new series of Doctor Who with Ncuti Gatwa. He has dreams of being known as a great actor and continuing his acting career. Lenny was announced as cast as Morris in Doctor Who on June 15th. He said, "I'm really lucky. I actually didn't audition," Lenny revealed. "I was on a game with my friends on a computer and Mum came in with the phone with the email on it. She showed me it and I whispered, 'Doctor Who?' She whispered, 'Yeah.' And it was crazy. I think if you're offered a job, you sort of think it would be something not too massive, but to be offered Doctor Who was amazing." We saw the Doctor Who announcement, and on the left side of the comments, you could see the word woke, and that Lenny's just been brought in to tick a box. Lenny's mum Lisa remarked, "But I like to think, and our Lenny knows, it's because actually he's good at what he does." And Doctor Who doesn't just do that. The horrible thing about nowadays is that if you're being inclusive, then you're woke, Lenny added. If you're showing representation and you're diversifying everything, which is how it should be, it's woke. He continues, "I had spinal diffusion, so that's 2 rods down on either side of the back, on either side of the spine. It was painful, but you know what? Actually, over the pain, it was just so uncomfortable. I couldn't lay down correctly or get up, so I couldn't sleep. And that's the worst part. I love my sleep." Honestly, same. Very much so. Even filming Doctor Who at the moment, I think that's helping me with my stamina. So I found after last week's filming. You try to get 4 or 5 hours a day of schooling with a tutor on set. Doctor Who has actually been quite tricky. I mean, I'm in quite a bit of it, so it's hard to fit that tutoring in. Lenny couldn't reveal too much about his work on Doctor Who, but shared a few experiences. Russell T Davies is amazing, a legend. Yeah, he's a very clever man. I'm playing a character called Morris. I can't say his name. That's how, crazy I couldn't say his last name. He's got a Segway, the Segway has some secrets inside. The props department have jazzed it up a bit, Lisa added. I'm in scenes with Ncuti Gatwa, and he continued, Millie's lovely, plays the companion. It's just a nice production, isn't it? Lisa remarked. It's a dream come true. It's such a great atmosphere, Lenny agreed. It's lovely. I mean, Doctor Who, it's crazy. I feel very privileged, very lucky. What a lovely interview from Lenny Rush there, and I completely understand his frustration there when it comes to being on TV and just being sort of seen as work. I remember when I did a BBC sort of interview thing about the first disabled astronaut. They invited me to do that, and the presenter asked me, oh, what about the people who are going to say that this is woke? It's like, who cares?
There will be those who worry about box ticking who will say, look, it's all very well to say we've got a in John McFall, who's, by the way, as we said, no small part, doubtless, of the reason he was chosen is he's a very, very experienced, talented Paralympian. He's a very fit man, notwithstanding having a particular disability that might limit some things he can do. There's plenty of other things he can do.
Exactly.
But they might say, actually, the astronauts are they're the cherry on top of the cake. The space program is enormous. How many people with disabilities are there actually working at every level of the space program? It's a legitimate question, that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the sort of thing, you mentioned box ticking. I don't see it as that personally. What I see it as is leveling the playing field, because obviously it's important for everyone in every strata of society, no matter who you are, to get these opportunities. And I see it as just, as the more people you can get to have these opportunities, the wider you cast the talent net. Surely that's a net positive for every industry everywhere. Everyone should be given the opportunities to do anything they want in a totally fair society. So I see no reason why it's woke and more so just making more things accessible. And that's totally a good thing and something to strive for. But yeah, I totally relate to him on that. And he sounds really, really intelligent for his age. And yeah, I really just related to him a lot in this exchange. And I wish him all the best. He seems to be having a great time. And it was nice to hear from him. Doctor Who has been nominated for another award, this time the TV Times Awards, for David Tennant's reveal of the 14th Doctor. So this would be Moment of the Year. Now, I have voted. You can vote via the Bad Wolf Twitter page. That's how I found it. And this is for the 14th Doctor's reveal, not the whole regeneration, because I remember seeing some discourse a while back about, well, it's actually also Jodie who won the award. And it's like, come on, we all know why they won a hype award for that. It's because David Tennant came back. And that's nothing on Jodie, but that's just the reality of why they won that award. Finally, today saw the release of the new Once and Future set, this time with the 10th Doctor, Missy, and the Paternoster gang. And I haven't kept up with this series yet, I need to catch up, but this one does seem fun, so I probably will listen to this eventually. Let me know in the comments below if you've listened to it and what you think about it. But that's about all I have to say here. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a like, comment down below your thoughts on anything we discussed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you later.